because of the holidays and the voting so close together. You mentioned a lot of folks can attend rallies because they have more time off, but do the holidays, especially with students perhaps leaving, going back to their families, wreak havoc with a pollster?
Well, it's one of those things that we worry about. One of the advantages we had in our methodology is because we were starting with the registered voter database, any number that was listed there was a number that we could call. And that included some cell phone numbers. So there are people who use random digit dialing. They're not getting cell phone numbers, as far as they know, in that sample. We are able to flag those numbers that we know to be cell phone numbers, handle them separately because of the law on how you contact cell phone numbers. But any college student that's in college here in Iowa planning to come back for the caucuses, but went home to Illinois, for example, for the break, we still had a chance to reach them. So there's an advantage in our poll. I can't tell you that's a huge advantage or that we contacted a large number of cell phone users, but they weren't excluded from our sample.
Fort Myers, Florida. You're on with Ann Selzer. Good morning.
Yes, thank you. I was just wondering, how does a poll accurately reflect voters when I'm a Democrat who recently switched to Republican so I could vote in the primary for Ron Paul here in Florida? I know independents who've recently switched to Republican to do the same thing. Don't these databases, aren't they kind of garnered over a longer period of time than just people recently affiliation? The other thing I just want to mention is that Huckabee scares me as a candidate. I think this country needs another, religious zealot. And I just really feel that his whole campaign to air that ad and then say he wasn't going to air it is planned. And thank you, and I'll listen to your response off the air.
Thanks.
Well, we work with the most updated copy of the registered voter database that we can get. So as long as you're registered, we're going to catch you. Regardless of how you're registered, we basically ignore that. And every voter, no matter how you're registered, we asked if you're planning to attend the caucuses and then which party's caucuses you're planning to attend. So even though you can change your registration on caucus night, if you're registered Republican and you tell us you're going to go to the Democratic caucus, we interview you for the Democratic caucus. And similarly, in your case, if you're registered registered Democrat but planning to go to the Republican caucus, we're going to catch you and interview you properly for that too.
Take the top 3 or 4 candidates on each side, Ann Selzer, and explain where their base of support comes from in Iowa. Could you tell from the poll?
We certainly could, and people have talked a lot about the gender gap in this race, and it's really more of a generational gap from the data, what we're seeing. You see Senator Clinton doing well with older women. You see Senator Edwards doing best with older men, and by that I mean age 55 and over. And then everybody younger than that, that's where Obama is strong. I know people think about him having big strength with the youngest voters, and that's certainly true. But he also wins with the 35 to 54 age group. On the Republican side, Mike Huckabee benefits from social conservatives really coalescing around him. And so you see people who are the born-again fundamentalist Christians. He's their #1 candidate, and he has a wide lead there. And then really everybody else is sort of split. There's no real demographic trend that matches that on the Republican side.
Take a call from New York City now for Ann Selzer, who is in Des Moines. Hi.
Yes, good morning. I'm calling lifelong Democrats. My sister and I are about to have a family argument that's going to probably go on for the next 10 years. She's threatening to become an independent and has sent for forms to the Republican Party. There are many Afro-Americans who are looking at Ron Paul as a viable candidate for them other than the Democratic Party. There are many of us who are beginning to feel as though we have been totally displaced here. 1986, they came up with that immigration bill, and most people in the country didn't feel it would hurt them. And they felt that it would only hurt the Afro-American community. And I have a variety of friends that this is New York, and that go across all boundaries, all ethnic groups. And so no one really thought about it. It hurt us. It has hurt us badly. However, what is happening now with the trade policies, which Clinton put into place? Everybody who's a Democrat, Clinton put these policies into place, the ones that are hurting us so badly now, all the illegal immigration that we have. He allowed them to think that it was okay once they got here.
Caller, thank you for your thoughts this morning. And Selzer, take the first part of what she said. She mentioned independents. Can you tell where they are trending toward these days in Iowa?
Well, they're definitely trending toward the Democratic caucus. This caucus can be historic for any number of reasons, but one of them could be potentially a large number of people who consider themselves independents showing up on caucus night to caucus for the Democrats. And traditionally, these caucuses have been thought to be populated by party activists, I mean, people who are true blue Democrat loyalists. And this year, it could be very different. And it's the independents who are a big part of Barack Obama's success. People who consider themselves Democrats, Hillary Clinton leads with that group. So really depending on who shows up on caucus night, it could be historic for, like I said, a number of reasons.
Some criticism of the poll. This from a person with an email. They're saying it came from the New York Times, but what they're saying here is the Clinton campaign said that the Register poll oversampled independent caucus goers. Edwards' campaign said the paper took its sample during the holiday and over the weekend, which could make it harder to find a representative sample. And the Edwards campaign also said that the poll's suggestion that 60% of caucus goers would be first-timers was at odds with history. It's more like 20% usually. Any reaction?
Well, actually, in 2004, it was more like 45% who were first-time caucus goers. So this is higher than that. But we also have more viable candidates in the field. So this has been a very different kind of caucus season. There's been far more money spent. There are far more candidates active in the state. I don't have the data on this, but it's easy to believe that there have been far more candidate contact hours in public appearances, and those things tend to bring people out who might not normally come out. And I think the holidays, as I said before, may have in fact contributed to more people who wouldn't normally go out to see a candidate, having some free time, having some friends, being with family who are interested in the caucus. Lots of reasons, lots of points of contact for them to get interested and decide that this is the year they're going to start doing something. Of course, we'll find out on Thursday night exactly what happened, and then we'll play a little armchair quarterbacking after the fact. But this is our best guess of how this is all going to turn out. It does look like there are going to be a large number of independents, a large number of people who are caucusing on the first night. And all I can tell you in terms of undersampling or oversampling is we were in the field. When we were in the field, we would normally think that if we're going to be biased in any way, we're going to have too many older women. Those are the demographics of people that you tend to overpopulate if you're not really careful in balancing everything else out that you're doing, and we just don't have that situation. So we're comfortable with what we have. Still, anything can happen between now and caucus night. There's still a lot of time for candidates to make news and make those numbers move, and they're certainly going to be putting their best effort into making that happen.
Next call is from